Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew First Culture podcast. This is Jeremy, and thank you very much for spending some time with me today. So, getting right into it, I've got a topic that looking forward to kind of putting out there, just to see the feedback, to hopefully give some people some thoughts and some conversation topics to go over that I feel like are pretty important, or definitely important with me. And as usual, I'll get into some of that, personal stuff as well as we go. But so do it now. That's the title, that's the topic. And kind of just to give credit to where it came from, listening to the At the Table podcast with Patrick Lencioni here lately. I've been listening to quite a bit of that, and John Maxwell podcast, things like that are really getting a lot out of. And so a one of the episodes with Patrick Lencioni, he talks about somebody he worked with years ago that had "Do It Now" written on his tennis shoes, and he asked him, why do you have that on there? And he's like, man, that's my motto. I don't want to wait when something occurs to me. I want to do it. If something presents itself, then I want to do it. I don't want to wait. And that's kind of the thinking behind that, and kind of where it went with me is just everywhere. It literally is just all through life. It really kind of started bouncing around and turning gears and things like that for me. And so I really thought that it would be a good topic to bring up and talk about on here. So really, when I see that, do it now, what my thought process is with it is, don't wait to do something good. That's really the bottom line for me when it comes to what we're talking about right now. And before I kind of get into all the places that we could apply this, just to give you just a little bit of kind of me, my struggles with this, and why I feel it's so important for me to work on myself. I have a terrible memory, absolutely awful, and it's embarrassing, it's frustrating. I I feel for my wife because I know she gets frustrated at me, and all I can do sometimes is just say, I'm sorry. I'm just as irritated as you are, and I'm the one that has to live with it. And it sucks. I hate it. I, you know, actually basically been declared ADD, and with some other things going on as well. But so that's a big problem with me. So, okay, knowing that there's a problem is a good thing, because then we can start addressing it, right? We can start figure out ways to either overcome it or work around it. And so this applies directly to that. And this could be big, it could be small. There's so many different things we can apply this to. It doesn't have to be big decisions or big situations. It could be something small. And I feel like a lot of the smaller stuff is even more important, because there's so many opportunities for it, that if we can embrace this saying and really embrace the mindset of do it now, don't wait, we can make a huge difference, a huge change in our lives and the lives of others too. And so just some examples of me where I need to do better with this. And like I said, it can be very simple. It could be, big life decisions. But simple for me is when we are getting ready to go out, if my wife and I are going on a date, or we go to quite a few concerts, different things like that, we try to get out and do things fairly regularly, as regular as we can by ourselves. With lots of kids, sometimes that's not easy, but that makes it even more important. But my point is, you know we don't get to do it very often, so I don't get to see my wife dressed up and looking her absolute best very often. And so every time I see her dressed like that. And every time I see her fixed up, right away, I'm thinking how beautiful she is. But do I say that? No, I hardly ever say it right away. Now, I do feel like I do a decent job of saying it eventually. You know, it's like I have to find a good time to say it, which is absolutely stupid. It's ridiculous. So, for the most part, I don't just ignore it completely, but there are lots of times when I hold off and wait and then don't ever get to it. I forget, or, it just slips my mind. And it absolutely makes no sense at all. Why would I do that? Why would I put myself in a position to lose a chance to make her aware of how I feel about her, make her understand that I find her beautiful, or whatever words you want to use? Why would I do that and risk the chance that I'm going to completely forget? And so that is definitely a very simple, a very, very elementary level area that I need to work on in this area. If I see something, I need to say something. And this is it's not just getting dressed up. If your spouse is in their hanging out at home, resting, comfortable clothes, and you find them to be cute in them, say something about it. That's even better, because they're not even trying to look nice and pretty or handsome or whatever, and yet you're going to bring that up, and that it's going to mean something to them. And so kind of that's where I wanted to start, because that's definitely a place that I need to work on. I think about things all the time, and it's, if it's not something like that, it's just I love you, or you want to switch it a little bit and start talking about kids or even spouse too, but telling them you're proud of them about something. There's so many situations that I need to do better, because these thoughts do nobody any good if they're stuck in my head. Nobody ever benefits from these thoughts if I don't verbalize them to anybody else. Nobody ever gets that benefit if I don't say something about it. So if I do see something from my kids that makes me proud, or if I do just kind of, for some reason, just a thought comes into my head that I so appreciate, what my spouse is doing for me or for my family, you got to say it. Because if you don't, you know, that's a perfect opportunity to, know, give them credit for something, make them feel good for something, let them understand that you think about them when you're not just, involved in some type of conversation around that particular thing. It's just a random thought. And so take advantage of that and let people know what you're thinking. So that's kind of, just wanted to get into like my struggles, and what, like I said, it's across the board. So that's a little bit of my home life issues with work. There's lots of times that I can do better about kind of the same stuff, telling my crew that I'm proud of them, giving them more praise more often, because they do a great job a lot. I could be doing better at that just as well at work as at home. Something else is just, like adding different routines that I know that need to be added. Working out a little bit more, uh, getting a little bit better at documenting training. Sometimes I kind of slack off on getting better at just enjoying the time that we are in. Sometimes I just let that slip away because I get busy with other things. And so there are lots of areas that we can just plug this little 3-word phrase into our lives, and really focus on getting the most out of everything that goes through our heads. So just some ideas that to throw out there for you to maybe help you to realize where this can help, or where we might need a little bit more focus on. Just if we're talking about work, like I said, the new routine thing is huge. So with our crew, we try to do some type of training every day. That's a big deal. We want to grow. We want to get better. We want to learn something every day. And that has been a huge process. And that has been a huge process that takes a lot of work, and something that is not easy to keep up all the time. Sometimes it's like, I don't have anything really in mind. It's getting to be later in the morning. If I don't do something right now to grab a hold of this day, as far as adding some value to our lives, it's going to be gone. So I just need to do it. I just need to find something, think of something, figure out something that we can do, and do it. Working out is another one I mentioned already. That's big for a lot of us. A lot of us just don't enjoy working out, but we all know it's important. So if we know it's important, if we know that it's going to be not only helpful for us and our health, and we're going to be more energetic with our family, and look better to our spouses, but we're going to be more reliable and safe with our crew, just do it. We just need to do it. uh Looking through my notes, sorry, I've already talked about some of them. So this is a big one right here. So if you find yourself to be in a bad place as far as your career, if you have kind of found yourself to be in a lost space in the fire service, if you're in a slump, if you've just ran off track, it's not too late to turn it around. It's not impossible to make some gigantic, amazing changes in your life and in your career right now. But that's what you have to do. You have to do it now. Don't wait for a Monday. Don't wait for the first of the month. Don't wait for first of the year, or spring, or summer, or whatever. Don't wait for anything to be just right. Just get it done starting today. Do it now. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people need to hear. I try to be very open and honest about my career. I've not even close to be somebody that has been fired up and into the job my entire almost 20 years now. Not even close. Life situations at home really took a toll on my career at points, different points of it. And being with different crews that I didn't necessarily enjoy took a toll on my career in negative ways. I allowed it to, I guess I could say. And so I've found myself in the position of having to break out of those slumps several times. And that doesn't happen if you don't do something about it. If you see that it's a problem, you got to do something about it. If you don't see that it's a problem, hopefully somebody's talking to you about it. Hopefully somebody's bringing something up. And if that's the case, you got to start looking at things from a humble perspective, and see if there's some truth behind whatever's being said. So another one, as far as work goes, is help somebody that needs it. There's not many things that gets on my nerves more than hearing people just talk completely disrespectful about certain firefighters, where we're talking basically fire service stuff, and you can apply this anywhere. People talking bad about other employees, coworkers, teammates, whatever you want to call it. And then you work with these people And it's like, yeah, okay, they're not the sharpest tool, or they need a lot of work. They're a little rough around the edges, or man, yeah, he or she's probably going to take a lot of attention. But you give them that attention, even if it's for a short time, and you see dramatic changes almost immediately, or you see at least a glimmer of hope that nobody else even admits to. And it just tells me right away that these people don't want to spend any time making people better. They just want to gripe about where they're at. And that's an awful thing. Like I said, it annoys me more than most other things that we deal with on a daily basis at the firehouse. I've seen it a lot. I've seen these people that are talked bad about over and over again come to my crew for overtime or traveling or whatever else. And we have a good day, or a good whatever time period with these people, because we invest in them when they're there. And I'm not saying we have any magic ingredients or special sauce, or we are the end all be all of fixing problems. No, I'm not saying we're turning every zero into heroes. I'm just saying that just by investing a little bit of time in these people, we can see that there is potential there. And so knowing that, it makes me wonder how much other people are truly investing in them if I'm not really hearing anything positive at all. So that's a big deal to me. So last on the list of work, and we'll just go ahead and tie it right into home as well, but repair fractured relationships. I'm sure most of us have relationships that at one time were great, or at least decent, that aren't anymore. And so, you know, now's the time to fix it. Especially if these are important people in our lives, especially if we're talking about best friends or family members, people that truly meant something to us at one point. It's time to turn that around. It's time to fix that relationship, and it's time to do it now. I think that's a big deal right there. Again, sorry if I say big deal a lot apparently. Uh, so home, you already mentioned a little bit about my struggles, but I'll put that number one on the home list. Tell your spouse that they're pretty, that they're beautiful, that they're handsome, whatever you want to say, whatever, let them know that you're thinking about them, and let them know what you think about them. My wife is not a huge words of affirmations person, but that's not going to make me stop doing it, because I want her to know. I don't care that it's not the best way to speak love into her. It's still important. It's still important for her to know that I'm thinking about her all the time. And so that is definitely something, like I already mentioned, that I need to work on. But that's something I think a lot of us need to work on. If we think something that's good, that's happy, that's proud, whatever, of our family, let them know about it, because they need to hear it. Especially my next one on the list, and I've talked about it as well, your kids, hearing how proud you are of them, hearing that you love them, hearing that you appreciate them doing something around the house, whatever it is. That's something that I've struggled with, and that I go to bed a lot of nights feeling bad about, because sometimes it just feels like everything out of my mouth to them is negative. Every focus towards them is negative, and I hate that. I don't want it to be that way, because even in the tough times when we're really struggling through some things with different kids, there's always good in there somewhere. There's always good things going on, or even just at the heart of these kids, they're good kids. And so I've got to find a way to not necessarily back off on, holding them accountable for things, but making sure I take advantage of the chances to tell them I'm proud of them for doing things, or they worked really hard helping with so and so. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Just taking advantage of those situations, especially if you're dealing with a kid, and I'm trying not to laugh, but we've got one that we have to pour a lot of ourselves into every single day. He is just one of those kids that requires a lot. But at the same time, deep inside, he is such a great kid and he has so much potential. And so it's very easy for us to just completely lose our temper and completely lose our patience with him and only see the negatives that are going on. It's very easy for that to happen more days than others. But there's still great things there. And we've got to make sure that we take advantage of those good days, those good situations, those good moments, and really let them know that this is the person that I really appreciate. The one that's making the bad choices, I don't appreciate that person. I hope that we can change some of those decisions and choices that you make at times. But when you're being the real person that you are, when you're being helpful and kind and caring, we so appreciate you and just love being around you when you're so, just the real you inside. And so that's kind of another area that we really have to focus on and do better at home, at my house. Work, home, maybe even side jobs, side, whatever you want to call it, off duty. Is there a hobby that you would really like to start? Is there a side business that you would really like to start? You know, look into doing it. I know that you're talking about starting a business. It's not just something that you could say, okay, I think I'm going to do that today and then get started. I know there's lots of decisions that need to be made, maybe, but get the process going. Look into it. Start researching. Figure out what is possible, what is not possible. Do something. Get the ball moving. And so, that's really kind of the nutshell of what I wanted to talk about today. I think, like I said, I think there are a lot of us out there that need to hear this. A lot of us sit back and wait, and maybe that's just a personality thing, a procrastinating personality thing, or an ADD personality thing. I don't know. Or maybe it's a problem with everybody. I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there that struggle with the same thing that I struggle with. But I will say this, I try to give some examples of my personal struggles so that, for one, you know that I I am on the same level as everybody else. I struggle with the same stuff. I am a human that needs a lot of work, but also I want to do it to maybe give you some hope that, okay, he's dealing with some of the same stuff or similar stuff, and this might be a good way for me to kind of start working on it too. I just trying to maybe connect with some people out there that haven't had those connections yet, to know you're not alone, and that these problems or these issues or these struggles, it's okay. It's life. We can't expect to go through every day unscathed and doing our 100% best. Some days are not going to be great days. Some days are going to have some really good times, but some really bad times too. We just have to keep doing good things, and we cannot wait for perfect situations to arise to do these good things. When you see a situation come into play that you have an opportunity to do something good, we have to do it. We have to do it now. If there's a teaching moment, a chance to mentor somebody, do it. Don't wait, or don't just completely ignore that chance. Those are huge moments that we have to grab onto and take advantage of. And so really, I just wanted to leave it with this. We have to really focus sometimes more on the opportunities at hand. We can't waste the opportunity, the moment, or chance to do something good. If something pops into your head that's a compliment, say it. If something, a thought occurs to you that is something of pride or happiness or just love, say it. Don't waste the opportunity to share that with whoever it is that it is geared towards. Take advantage of those situations and help somebody else out. Make their lives better because you actually were strong enough to verbalize what is going on in your mind. Maybe that's exactly the thing they need to hear today. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much. I real quickly before I go, I do want to mention something that I'm really excited about. I was asked on to be a guest of the Couplings Fire podcast. And so host Taylor, she had me on, and man, it was a great conversation. I'm really excited for her to release that. It will be coming out tomorrow, which is March the 11th. And that's the Couplings Fire podcast. And so look for that, because it'll be a conversation that I've not ever really publicly had before. We dig into a lot of family stuff. We dig into a lot of painful, past events that had to be just struggled through, basically. And so just some really good conversation, really real conversation that I really think that we need to do more of. And so look for that. I think I'll probably release it on my platform after a few days after she does, just to see if we can get her a little bit more listening audience. But look for that. If you enjoy anything that you've heard me talk about, to maybe get a little bit more insight on kind of my past, my history, because I don't talk a lot about some of that stuff. So it was a good opportunity. I appreciate her letting me share some of my story on there. So thank you. I hope you have a great day, great week, great month. Till next time, I hope to see you pretty soon. Until then, stay safe, stay humble, do work.